What's going on, ladies and gents? Before we start off with the video, I want to remind everybody content creator program is going on. Click that support button, get yourself 2 active codes, including 1,000 essence stones, a mana power extract, and more. 2 more codes on the way, guys. So make sure you guys join the program. It's absolutely free. Get yourself some free codes and get yourself into the program and support your boy. Now, this video coming up is an important one. We got a brand new weapon dropping today. We're going to talk a little bit about the leaks. Shout out to Alpha for these. And we're going to show you guys the testing results of those leaks. And we're going to see that this new weapon is actually the first of its kind because it scales off of something completely different that we've never had before. So let's get into it. Brand new weapon. Alon's Orb. That's right, I'm using Zaf's video. Alpha actually sent us both this video and I never got a chance to use it. I was going to wait. So shout out to Zaf for putting the video out. I'm going to be using his video. Plus this is Alpha's video as well that he sent to both of us. Again, never got a chance to work around this, but this is going to be the leaks to show you guys the full-on testing that he did with the weapon and show you guys the results of some of this. So first off, talk about the actual full-on weapon. So Jinnu's precision increases by 0.5% up to 5% in total for every 20 intelligent points he has using Dominion Storm. Grants the user a shield and activates Rolling Tide effect. When Dominion Storm hits, it inflicts the Maelstrom effect on the target. So let's talk a little bit about how this works and what it's all about. Okay, this is important because this weapon is going to be, again, one of its kind because it's actually scaling off of intelligence. We've only had, so far I believe, anything that's scaled off of strength. That's it so far, right? So this is gonna be different. So Maelstrom, so the shield grants the shield up to 10% of the maximum user's HP, and the Rolling Tide increases damage dealt by 10% and also increases water damage by 10% for 20 whole seconds. Now, keeping in mind, this is going to be built most likely for the Scythe. There's really no other weapon out there that's considered a DPS weapon for water. So Scythe is going to be the shoe-in here for this. So honestly, for me, I'm going to summon for it because I have the Scythe. I want to test the 2 of them out and see how much more damage it does versus the Stormbringer. Because here's the thing right now, to be honest, nothing beats the Stormbringer in terms of its usability for all weapons almost. Like literally, Stormbringer's the no-brainer. So the only way this is going to be useful is if it actually out-damages, it outperforms the Stormbringer. You guys can see right here, Alpha wrote Alpha board AF. Yeah, we know Alpha, we know. All right, so Maelstrom increases water damage by 8%. Duration is 20 seconds. So that's at A0. So that's a very important one, right? Now at A1, for every 10 intelligent points that you have, it increases the water damage up to 1%, up to a total of 20%, period. So you're building this with Intuit most likely, right? You're going to use Intuit with this because Intuit's going to give you more attack, but also Intuit gives you, you can scale both of them better with Intuit as well too. So if Sun Jinnu's intelligence is 200 or higher, it activates the Lunar Drift effect, and this is important because this is very similar to what the Stormbringer does with its effects. If you hit a certain threshold, I think for Stormbringer it has to be 300 strength though. So 200 is obviously the perfect amount for legendary Intuit. There's a reason why they did it this way, guys. If the user's MP is 41% or higher, increases water damage by an additional 20%. If the user's MP is 41% or higher, increases damage of your water weapon skills by 30%. So overall, this is going to, and it should make the Scythe, the water Scythe, hit a lot harder. Now the problem here is, yet again, is it stronger than Stormbringer? This is what it's all going to come down to. Are these numbers going to matter when Stormbringer's 3,600% damage increase makes a huge difference? So we're going to see if this Lunar Drift in fact does work, number 1, properly, and number 2, if it does work as it's intended to make the Scythe be better with this weapon. Or is Stormbringer again going to reign supreme? So very important, guys, to remember that, okay? Now, A3, the Rolling Tide effect is enhanced. The Maelstrom effect is enhanced. The user's damage dealt increases by 20%. So that's actually pretty good. Increases water damage by additional 20%. We get a lot of percentages here. And then when a water skill hits, it inflicts the Maelstrom effect on the target, and that duration lasts for 20 whole seconds. Okay, so you guys can see we are getting a lot more stuff. And again, Maelstrom just increases the water damage taken by 8%, but now it actually stacks up to 4 times. Before it did not do that, right? If we go back to the original Maelstrom effect, I'll show you right over here. I think it's over here somewhere. It's rolling. There it is. You see there's no stacking. This time you're getting the full stacks, so it's gonna do a lot more damage with the 8 stacks, obviously, right? And then of course we have ourselves the A5 version, changes Lunar Drift to Rising Tide. When all the users equip weapons or water weapons, it increases their critical hit rate by 10%, and we're gonna go a little further here, and then also increases the user's water damage by 15%, increases the damage of water weapon skills by 60%. So there's a lot of percentages here, guys. So overall, this weapon does look incredibly good. It actually does. It looks like it may in fact give Stormbringer a run for its money. I still think, to be honest, in my opinion, Stormbringer is going to be a lot more powerful for most content, but there is definitely space for this to work really well in places like BOT because of the AoE damage it does, plus other places. But there is actually testing in this video, so we're going to see what the testing looks like from alpha. So time left 228, score was 82, 860, 145, boss rage count was 14. You guys can see the testing here. He was done, and then of course there's another one right there with 16, and then Alon's Orb versus water weapons. So there's 19 there with Alon's Orb. So it looks like Alon's Orb overall does more damage than most of the other weapons out there right now, but I don't think it's meant to be tested this way. I'm pretty sure this is meant to be used as a used as a support weapon to support the current meta for water, which is the water scythe, right? And I think this is right here what Zaf is mentioning is the Winter Fang. You're supposed to really pair it with this. So here's a couple things you need to note though. When you pair it with this, it's going to give you additional water damage, especially if you already have the shadow or the wolf assassin equipped, right? Then that's important. The wolf assassin has to be equipped for this to matter. You're going to increase also additional 10% on crit, so you're going to over crit already as it is, and you're going to give them additional water damage. So the scythe actually isn't really that powerful for water damage. The grimoire actually is where a lot of the water damage and elemental damage was coming from. So you can see here with the grimoire, it only does 10% and it does the frozen abilities, but it definitely is much better than the grimoire in my opinion, because deep erosion only works with, well, there's a couple ways it works. Number one, if you freeze, you do more damage, but deep erosion does give 24% more elemental damage. But still, the amount of water damage and extra damage that this new weapon provides should absolutely make this scythe hit harder than any other water weapon on the market. So I think overall, guys, if we're looking at water, this is going to probably be the new meta. Where it's going to be useful, this is the interesting part, right? Because I think Stormbringer brings so much more to every other weapon because of that crazy buff that it offers, that the Alon Orb will only be used, I think, very seldom in certain situations, such as, like I said, BOT I think is going to be a big one, especially when it's water elemental weakness for Sun Jin Woo. And I think maybe, this is a big maybe, the brand new guild boss. And I'm only saying this because whenever a weapon comes out, it isn't really the meta for the time. It becomes the meta for future content that is released. And right now, because water is playing a big role against Yogamon, and I think that's where it may stop for a little while, but in the future may be useful again. I don't think this weapon is gonna, from what I've seen so far, is gonna be a must-have. It really has to fill big shoes, guys, in order for it to even matter, and that is again the Stormbringer. So we will do a full summon, and I'll do a full testing with you guys tomorrow. I think the best thing to do is just to kind of test the weapon out, see how it runs, see how it works, and then if it does work really well, then I'll let you guys know and show you guys the results as usual. But I have a hard time believing that this is going to beat the ultimate buffing weapon, which is the Stormbringer, especially at A5. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. If you're excited for this weapon, let me know as well. This is a little different. It is going intelligence route. So again, I do think this is going to be a great BOT weapon. But outside of that, I don't see it being Stormbringer anywhere, anytime, any place, except for there. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.